Catalyst first worked with you more than 12 years ago when you were leading the New York office. Tell me about your personal journey in diversity and inclusion and what you've learned along the way.
In all honesty, the work with Catalyst in 2007 was probably among the most important thing I've done to really get my own hands around this issue of diversity, and particularly gender diversity, and how you have impact. To be honest, I thought the New York office was doing great, and we had been asked to do a study of how women had succeeded in New York because New York was viewed as one of the success stories with a number of women partners. We teamed with your colleagues and we together looked into it, and we found it was true that we had a fair amount of women in the New York office and in the partnership, but we had lost so many great women along the way. And when they interviewed them, we realized just like how many things we weren't realizing of what it felt like to be a woman in this environment, which is so intense and people work so hard, and we needed to evolve how we engaged with women, not at the point in time they were having families, but even much earlier on, to talk about how you could build a career in different ways to make it work. It was really important. I've used it and referred to it for years and years.
Well, we were happy to be part of working with you on that initiative, and now here we are celebrating Apprenticeship in Action. Tell me from your perspective, how do you define apprenticeship in the context of the firm and the work you do?
We think the heart of BCG is built around apprenticeship because, look, we have this privilege to have these amazingly talented people join us. But the truth is, the kinds of work we do, where you're working with leading companies on their most difficult problems, really high stakes things, trying to move at a really fast pace, nobody comes in the door understanding how to do that. All of us feel like we've grown because we got to work with more senior people that invested in us, that gave us opportunities, maybe a little outside our comfort zone, to develop and evolve. What we were probably less sensitive to is that we thought that apprenticeship model sort of worked for everyone equally well. And I think it took some real effort over a really sustained focus to understand what about our apprenticeship model was working well for everyone, and what were the things that we needed to make sure that we put a bit more effort behind it and making it work for everyone. When we started this, we found that we were having retention of women that was a few points less. This was at the end of the last decade, was a few points less every year than the retention of men. And it doesn't seem like so much, a few points, but when you're compounding it over 5 or 10 or 15 years, those few points of difference can really add up.
Rich, can you share some of the outcomes that you've seen from these efforts?
Probably the most important one is that retention of men and women in BCG is now equal, and the promotion rates as a percentage of cohorts for men and women are equal. I'm also really pleased that our hiring in the US and also around the world has continued to go up, women as a percentage of the total cohorts that we're hiring in our entry skills, and that we've continued to grow women in the leadership ranks on many, many roles all around the world, including the fact that our executive committee is now 35% women, 6 out of 17. So we are working on many different fronts, but we've actually seen really tangible business benefits and cultural benefits to sort of take on this agenda in a very active way.